Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Spring 2023 Virtual Fabric Show. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Stephanie Sheridan, and I'll be your host today. We've had over 40 new collections come out since our last Virtual Fabric Show in fall of 2022, and we're excited to share some of them with you today. Just a few quick notes before we begin. We'll be taking questions from the audience at the end of each session today. So please feel free to type your question in the Q&A box down at the bottom of your screen. You can type them in anytime during the presentations or the panel discussion, and we'll ask them to the designers and our one ambassador at the end of the session. Please visit our website, which is benartex.com, to see the full collections that you see here today, and to find out more information about the designers themselves and the projects that they're sharing. Oh, good. Sherry says, hi, Stephanie, you look so much clearer now. Good to know. Thank you. And lastly, when you see something that you love, and we are sure that you will, please ask your local quilt shop to order the fabrics. They can contact their Benartex sales rep, order through one of our many distributors worldwide, or contact us directly through our website for more information on ordering. We only sell to independent quilt shops. You won't find our fabrics at any of the big box stores. So with all of that being said, it's time to begin the show. So we're going to start this session with designer Ann Lauer joining us all the way from Montana. Her new collection, called Xanadu, is an idyllic garden full of fantastic florals and cool coordinates, all decorated with Ann's characteristic attitude. These fabrics will be hitting the stores this November, so you won't want to miss them. We're going to show a short video clip of the collection, and then Ann's going to tell us about it. Okay, Ann, so that is Xanadu. And would you please show us some more about the fabrics and tell us all about how you came up with this collection?
Wow, what a way to start. that video that Maria put together is fantastic. So really fun. So the definition of Xanadu is a place of beauty, contentment, and luxury. And that's what this collection is all about. So this is an indication of the large flowers and their cool and soothing tonal coordinates. So we have 3 values of purple, 3 of teal, 2 of maroon pink, and 2 of blue. And then this fun stripe that's very unusual and also user-friendly that I'll show you in a bit. So the feature fabric in the collection is the large floral. These are a generic flower, which is a first for me, and decorated, as Stephanie said, with my attitude in the petals, which gives it texture and interest. Every little bit of this is shaded. These flowers will fit in 9 and 10-inch blocks. The Benartex studio is incredible in their ability and talent and time that they spend to shade every little piece of this. It's just amazing, actually. That's the large floral. Here's a medium one. So these are 3 inches, and they have all the detail that the large ones do. But these can be used for applique as well as in blocks and borders. Also available on black and on white. And back by popular demand is the variation on my paisley style that's been so popular. This adds punch to the collection, and the shading in these multi-colors just makes them almost illuminate. That's on black, and here it is on white. We also have it in 2 tonals, on teal and purple. This multi square is absolutely one of my favorites. So not only are the squares all shaded, but they're also got a couple of colors in there that blend in a very watercolory technique. That's on black and on white. So the stripe is 4 repeats across the whole width, which means that you just have to get fabric for the longest border, and then you've got borders for all sizes, all sides of the quilt. So here's the repeat. You can use just the stripe with the dots. You can use it with some of the black. You can use all black and white. You can use the whole thing. You can cut some of the narrow pieces and use them for sashing. So I'll give you a close-up then, because even the stripe and the dots are shaded. Quite the artistic accents. So the darkest value in the collection is the multi-squares, and it's in teal, in blue, purple, and maroon. The medium value is a new one, diamond circle. So look how tiny those little dots are, and yet they're still got variety in the sizes. Up close, you see all this design. At a distance, this almost looks like a textured gray, which means it works really well in backgrounds. It's the medium value, so we have it in blue, in teal, in pink, and in purple. And the lightest value in the collection is also new. This is modern basket weave. So this is just enough texture on here, enough design to give it texture, so it's nicer than just a solid, but it's not busy, so it works great for backgrounds. That's in teal and in purple. We also have it in white, and then here's an example of the black. So there's enough gray on here printed on the black to give you the wonderful basket weave design, and yet it's not so busy that it works great for anywhere you're going to want a black fabric. With patterns, we are showcasing the big floral as well as these wonderful coordinates. So here's a brand new pattern called Lattice Fun. It shows the big floral used in a 10-inch square, and then we're using strip packs, 2.5-inch strips. Here's Walkabout, one of our drop dead most popular patterns. Here's an example of the flowers in squares, and also then you can see it in that black and white diamond circle that's used for a background. Afternoon Delight is quite popular. A lot of shops use it to teach flying geese, because this is a large scale and it's easy for beginner quilters to be successful and then be hooked on quilting. Come on, let's twist. This was designed by Lisa Ruble, and she's done piecing in this to take a square block and turn it into a circle, which is quite dramatic and fun. All My Stars, 9-inch, 9 patches, stars, and a piece border. So this is a people who haven't done piece borders before. This is a nice one to start with, and then you'll be hooked. I love the drama of this. Starstruck. So you've got the combination of the big floral and the wonderful coordinates that give it this dramatic look. There's a Quilt As You Go Bargello using coordinates, and then this uses those medium scale flowers for the applique. Morning Melody, Laugh, Queen and King quilts. Great for beds. Lots of action here, combining the coordinates with texture and then the ones that have more punch. And Ripples, this is just strip sets. Easy strip sets to make this fun quilt, also written for several sizes and beds. Twofer, that's because when you make two each of three simple strip sets, you get this. You don't choose, you get both pieces. You can use it as a table runner and a table topper, wall quilts, whatever you want. We've got a couple fat quarter quilts. This is just the right angle. So you can use a tonal in these checkerboards, or you can mix it up and make a multi. And then show me your fat quarters, and I'll show you mine. Here's, again, using that diamond circle in that light gray border. And the free pattern is Xanadu Hopscotch, which kind of uses bits of all of it. So a lot of fun. So as Stephanie said, the fabric will ship November, December. We will have patterns to download as well as to ship on our website, grizzlygulchgallery.com. We'll have those later this summer. And in the meantime, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks, Anne. I really love this collection. I mean, purples and teals and turquoises are my favorite colors anyway. So, and I know your favorite color is purple because you're wearing it. And I know Lisa's favorite color is teal because she's wearing it. So this collection is perfect for both of you. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next presentation. It is the drawing room from designer Pat Sloan. Unfortunately, Pat is traveling right now and is not able to be with us live, but she didn't want to miss the chance to tell you all about this collection, so she pre-recorded a video. The drawing room will be in stores this fall, and here is Pat's video.
Hi, I'm Pat Sloan, and I would like to invite you into the drawing room. So we have finished our meal, and we're all going to go across the hall into the warm and cozy drawing room with comfy chairs and tea, coffee, and maybe a little adult beverages and some beautiful desserts. So come and join me. Let's take a look. My drawing room fabric line has 3 basic colorways that go through all the prints. This is the comfy chair. So of course the drawing room is filled with comfy chairs, and this nice big paisley with the gorgeous flowers on the blue, which has different shades of blue, the tan, which has a kind of caramely brown in them, and then on the black, which also has the sort of dark caramely color browns and light blues in it. So we have several different fabrics, and they all come with these colors. I gave them all fun names. So this is the parquet floor. So you're going to have a parquet floor in your drawing room. Here is the tan print, and it's got a base of black. So these are all a darker tone for the line. The black base has a lot of the light gray on it with a little bit of the gold. And then the blue one is all blue, 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 everything blue. You can see right down here. The first thing we need in the drawing room is an after dinner mint. I love the scale of this. This is kind of the medium scale, and it has a lot of structure because it has this medallion, this repeat medallion, which is in 2 sort of style ways. Over here we have a really light base. This almost gives you that blue yellow. You'll see a quilt done with all the blue fabrics when I get to the quilts here. And then the dark one just sparkles with that base of black underneath there. I had to name this one the decanter. It's kind of a nod to a beautiful decanter my mom gave me that we had in the house when I was a kid. And it is taking a similar shape to what we just had over here and doing it with less colors. And so you have kind of a tonal blue, the cream, and then the black. So these are all just great blender fabrics for the line. What else do you find in the drawing room? A good book, of course. So this is called the Good Book fabric piece, and I have it in the darker tones again because it gives you that balance. So when you're working with the line, you have darker and lighter fabrics to make your pattern just come to life. And they are just such pretty little buttons that will be just a delight in your patterns. You can never have too many side tables in your drawing room. So the side table pattern has 4 colorways. So you have the black, the tan, the medium blue, and then a white. This is my background. So I can just make everything sparkle on this background fabric. And they all have this paisley on it. So you can see it best here. And some of them, like the white and the black, is less distinct, which is just a great, great piece to add with everything else. The last regular width piece is the tea table, and I think more like a trolley cart. That's one other thing I would like to have in my drawing room. But this is a medium to a little bit larger scale. It's much like the first print, but done just all sort of in one tone of color. All blue, then all tan, and then this luscious black. Oh my goodness, I love this so much. It feels like an antique black. You can just see the brown relief in there, or the print. It's just so yummy. Now we're going to go and look at the wide backs. The wide back comes in 8 different colorways, and so I'll show you them in some groupings here. This is so beautiful. Look at that. It's a little bit upscaled from the main print. And these can be used for something besides just the backing. You can use them for your borders. You can use them as for big areas of the pattern. You have a big section of a block. You can just use them as regular patchwork, but they are a wide back for the line. And look at that. I love that. Such a look at the nice big flowers, right? Big as my hand. So we've got some more colors. These blues just make my heart sing. Oh my goodness, look at them. Now this has like more sort of like to a gray scale, and any of these would be great on another kind of quilt that you're doing, even if it's not with the drawing room fabric on the front, or not, you can just use them for anything. And again, all of these can be used for your regular patchwork as well, but they are wide backs, which makes it perfect for the backs of your quilts. And the last 2, which are the darker ones. Then we'll just see, here's the black. I think these would make fabulous pillows. You could even do a whole cloth quilt. I could just see like taking and making with the wide back here, just for a bed quilt. So gorgeous. Okay, let's go see how these are used in some designs. The free pattern for the drawing room is by Stephanie Sheridan, and it is called My Blue Heaven. She used all the blue fabrics and the white, and it's spectacular. Oh my goodness. This is a must-do. It showcases that fabric in the big squares. So gorgeous. I have several from my friend Wendy Shepard of Ivory Springs. Owls See You. Don't they look great on the black? That texture in the black just makes the owls pop. So gorgeous. And then she also did Fancy Schmancy, which is on the cover of the lookbook. And I love the little sparklers, gives like a sparkler effect. And this one uses the tans and the blues from the line. Then Pick of the Patch is these darling little pumpkins. This feels like fall, this quilt. It's got all the colors in it, the blacks, the blues, and the tans. And the pumpkins are so stinking cute. The next group is from Sew Emma Publications, which is from the Fat Quarter Shop. The first is Blackbird, designed by Jocelyn Ung, and I love it. Those great big stars inside another big star. Oh my goodness, so cool. That's a 70 by 70, so it is a good size quilt. Castle Court is got the Irish chain effect with the stars in the middle. This one is also going to use a lot of the different fabrics from the line, and I love having the stars in the dark. That really is spectacular against the white. And then On a Winter's Day, also from So Emma and designed by Angelus Tucker. So this is a 72 by 72 and it has the split stars. Look at that cool effect the split stars do. So it gives you sort of an optical illusion. Now, By Annie has the most fabulous bags. And so we've got the switchback bag, which is this sort of cute backpack type bag. And you get to use, your favorite 4 fabrics on there, little accent, and then the 3 others. A sewing machine cover called Undercover. That is a really great way to showcase your favorite print from the drawing room. And then the Ultimate Travel Bag 2.0. And here it is in blue, accented with the darker blue, sort of little medallions. And then don't forget, you can come and visit me at my YouTube channel, Pat Sloan, and I do videos Monday through Saturday, every day, Monday through Saturday, and also come to my Facebook group, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, where we host and run all kinds of fun projects. Hi, I'm Pat Sloan, and I would like to.
Thanks, Pat. We really appreciated you taking that video for us. I hope you have a wonderful trip. We will talk to you when you get home. And everyone seems to really like the drawing room collection. I can't wait to see what people create with it. And now we're going to move on to our next presenter. We have our brand ambassador, Lisa Ruble. Lisa has been working with Benartex for a long time. You may recognize her name from the Fat Quarterly. She's the editor. Modern quilting is her style of choice, and she particularly loves improv piecing. She has several projects to share with us today that are free patterns, and she also has a really cool block of the month that you might be seeing right behind her. First, we're going to play the short videos for the 2 collections that she did free patterns for. That is American Spirit and Safari Fun. And then Lisa will tell us a little bit about the projects. All right, so Lisa, why don't you tell us a little bit about those two collections and your work with Benartex?
I'd love to. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Ruble, and I design and blog and do Instagram under the name Quilty Zest. And I've been a quilter for 23 years, and I've been designing patterns for about the last 15. I really enjoy designing patterns because I like the experimenting effect of finding ways to showcase the fabric in the quilt designs, not necessarily having it be little tiny pieces, but bigger ways to really show off that fabric, whether it's a fussy cut border stripe, large focal prints, or even just a tonal collection that's in a wide range of colors like what you see behind me. And I love designing the free patterns for Benartex because it often pulls me out of my little designing box. Because like Stephanie said, personally, I tend to lean towards modern fabric, a lot of bright fabrics. And Benartex has such a wide range of styles and color palettes that I like the challenge of being able to design with collections that may not be what's in my stash and what I'm used to sewing with. So I'm going to start out talking about Safari Fun, which was the second video Stephanie showed. And I have 3 boys at home. They're now 14, 11, and 8, so not toddlers anymore, but designing kids' quilts and quilts for them is definitely right in my wheelhouse. So I always love a great collection that kind of leans towards kids like Safari Fun does. And I've loved a lot of Terry Runyon's fabric collections. So what drew me into this collection is this border stripe. It's got all of the cute animals in the collection, and it's just begging to be cut into a stripe for the border, as you might have seen in the quilt that was in the video. And the collection also includes a variety of sort of medium-sized animal prints, with a lot going on with them. So when I was working on a design for this quilt, I added in some white solid to give a little breathing space, as well as sashing and sashing squares. But then I also wanted a block that was a little bit bigger so that you could really see these birds and these tigers and all of the other cute animals. So here is a printout of what the quilt looks like. And I did half square triangles, larger half square triangles. And the other thing that I like to do when I'm designing quilts is to kind of see if I can come up with a secondary design as well. So in addition to having the half square triangles with the sashing, you also see that window pane effect that the sashing creates, and then the layout of the different half square triangles creates an overall look as well, sort of blossoming out from the center. So I actually have most of this quilt made. I was going to show you it in the actual fabric here, and you can see I've got all the different half square triangles. I didn't put the border stripe on yet because I wanted to be able to show you that the larger piece so you could see how it comes on the fabric, but that'll be my next step, and then it will be a finished quilt. The other collection that I worked with was American Spirit. And what's great about these fabrics is it's got that whole patriotic vibe going, but it's not just your basic stars and stripes and just one red and one blue. There's a variety of different shades and values of reds, blues, creams, and beiges. And then there's a text print and some florals and some flags. And so there's a lot going on in this collection that makes it just a wider patriotic collection than what you normally see. And the other thing I love about this collection is that it's perfect for a quilts of valor quilts that go to veterans. And actually the free pattern that I designed fits into the size requirements for quilts of valor. So it would be a great choice for that. And this is another pattern where I played with a secondary design, and you can see the original block is basically a 9-patch variation. It's a 9-patch with those little corner squares in the block. But then by adding the sashing and the sashing squares, you end up with, using those corner squares, you end up with a second round of 9 patches in there too. And I feel like that really breaks the block up a little and adds interest to the block, to the quilt as a whole. And then what's kind of hard to see, but I use 2 different creams for the background and then actually a third one for the sashing. And I like doing that because I feel like it creates a scrappier look and adds more interest to the quilt. I don't have this one made yet, but I do have one block made from it. And you can see this is one that has the text print as the background, and then a blue and red star print and some blue tonals in the corner. This quilt is really easy to make because it's all made out of squares and rectangles. So it's not difficult to make. And like I said, would be great for a quilt of valor. So then you may have noticed this quilt behind me, and I know Stephanie mentioned it as well. This is a quilt that I made with Benartex's marbleized fabric collection, and it's a huge range of colors all using this marbleized print. And I actually have a fat quarter box of it from the ambassador program too, which actually my computer is sitting on right now to make it high enough for this video. But this is a block of the month quilt, and it will soon be released as a standalone pattern as well. And I told you I like bright colors, and this fits into that. I tend to lean towards going with the whole rainbow effect, and you can see I've got that in the various borders out there and even in the center star. So the quilt assembles starting with the center star, and then each month you add more and more borders to the outside. And I just really love how the bright colors pop off of that black. And then I've got 2 ambassador program projects to show you. And you can see I've really have a lot of different styles of Benartex fabrics just in my little display here. This was my first ambassador project. These were back in February, and this is from my Strippy Improv Heart pattern that's available in my Etsy shop. And the hearts are done with reverse applique, and this uses the watercolor geometry collection from Marta Cortez. And I had a lot of fun separating the fabrics into 2 different color palettes to create 2 different looking pillows. And then my next project, which will be coming out shortly, uses these cozy flannels. And these are Doodle Baby by Jessica Flick, and they're really whimsical little pen and ink style drawings of animals and then stripes and text. And I'm going to make these into a quick and easy baby quilt because I don't know about you, but I often want to give baby quilts and usually end up giving toddler quilts because the babies are a year or 2 old. So I'm going to use these to show you how to make a quick and easy baby quilt so you too can give baby quilts on time. And then hopefully I'll have this in my stash for the next time I need to give a quilt. So watch for that tutorial. It will be on my blog and on social media and on Benartex's as well, I'm sure. And again, you can find me at quiltyzest.com or on Instagram as quiltyzest. And thanks for letting me be a part of this presentation.
Thanks, Lisa. I do have one more question for you. You do have one more project to show, right?
I do.
So we challenged all of our ambassadors to create a tote bag that featured their interpretation of our X logo, which you can see right behind me here. And this is Lisa's tote bag.
And I couldn't choose. I wanted each X block to have 2 colors, and this is also marbleized. If it looks like it blends into the quilt behind, it does. And I couldn't just narrow it down to 2 colors for each of those 4 X's. So I made 4 different colors on the other side, but this is my marbleized X tote bag.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for being here with us today, Lisa.
Thank
And
you.
our final designer for this session is Modern Quilt Studio with their Delight collection. We have Bill and Weeks both with us today. The colorful and airy prints provide a soft yet unique color palette for quilters. You can find Delight in your local quilt shops starting in June of this year.
Hello,
Hey,
I'm Weeks Ringel,
and I'm Bill Kerr.
and we are delighted to share this line with you. And I wanted to tell you a little bit just to start about the inspiration for this line, because you know, a lot of times designers say, oh, you know, I had this trip to Italy or whatever. And this is really about you, the quilter. we think about you a lot.
A lot.
And we talk about this image of our quilting fans standing in the grocery store at night, getting some things for dinner, and looking forward to that time that they have for themselves, whether they've been caregiving or whether they've been working that day, that they have, that quilting for them is this time to refresh and to recharge their batteries.
Absolutely.
So they can do the take care of the responsibilities that they have as part of their life. And so we've thought about, like, we wanted to design a line that would delight you. And so the whole goal of this line are fun patterns that are different maybe than other things that you have in your stash, but they would play well with things that you might have in your stash, because we understand that you want to be able to integrate fabrics you have with fabrics with new friends, like our Delight line. So we're going to go through the line quickly, and Bill can explain each of the prints and how it's structured.
Okay, so this whole concept of delight starts in how we actually create fabrics. We love to draw, and sometimes we draw by hand, sometimes we have our iPad and Apple Pencil, but our goal is for every fabric to be something you haven't seen before, that you like touching stuff, you like making stuff. So we have a range of fabrics that are each unique. So this is called fringe. And we have these just lovely marks that read from a distance as a dark overall, but it actually has a lot of variation within it. And then as we move through, this is one that I can't wait till you have in your hands, because you see all these little checkerboards, but what you don't see until you get up close is that dark background that they're on are teeny tiny checkerboards. Like, we always like little hidden surprises. And we have a fabric called Zigzag. And as you can see, one of the things we're doing here is building up texture by overlapping, whether there's zigzags or checkerboards, but just getting kind of a lushness in each of the fabrics. The line, or the pattern called Downtown, once again integrates a wide range of colors so you can pull together other fabrics from your stash. But there's a softness about it. All these are hand-drawn lines. So even though there's a kind of a nice geometry and structure to it, it still is loose, friendly, welcoming. And that carries over into something like our Bubbles print, where, again, you look and there's all this color going on. There are little bits of bright, little bits of desaturated color, blues, pinks, greens. So these are the three colorways. And then we wrap up the line with a very versatile, low contrast tone on tone called Spin. And these all work, just like, our goal is for them to work beautifully together, but also with your stash.
So one of the things that is a little bit different about the way we work, which I think is more common among modern quilters, is that you'll notice that there isn't a focus fabric, diva print in the line. What we generally try to do is think about having fabrics that work together as a group, that are interesting as a group, and that have contrast, enough contrast, but not so much contrast that they're stark. So if you look, this is an in progress shot of the Echo quilt, which we'll show you.
You'll see in a minute.
At the end. But you'll see with patterns like this, you don't necessarily want to have a focus fabric. And this is a little bit, there's lots of different styles of quilting, but with a lot of our patterns, you want a group of fabrics that are going to work together. with which you've got some contrast. And so you can see that, actually, I'm going to go back to this echo. You can see with some of these bands in the quilt are lighter and some of them are darker. So we've intentionally designed that contrast into the line to make it easier for you to have your darks and lights, but they can all be used together as well. So you want to go talk about the contrast of the structure?
What Weeks is talking about is there can be real subtlety. If you look at this is, showing all the 18 SKUs in the line, but there's this center grouping that are kind of medium to light. Each of these is really different, and they have just enough contrast that if you put any of these two fabrics next to each other, you still have a crisp edge, because let's face it, piecing, we cut up fabric and sew it back together, but you want to see where those edges are. So if you're doing a traditional star or a contemporary, a modern quilt, edge matters. So there's enough edge to see the differences, but enough variety to have richness. But because that edge is important, we also make sure that we have some extremes. That line of darks makes for incredible sashing, great binding. And in the same way that the darks have strong differentiation, the lights do the same thing. So you can put those darks or lights with any of that middle range and have a crisp edge. So the other thing, there are 3 colorways as well.
Yeah.
We tend not to work in colorways as much, but it's perfect when you have patterns that call for light to medium to dark blues, reds, greens. So we want to show you 3 quilts that we've made using this line, so you can see how this all actually works.
Because it is different for those of you who are accustomed to a focus fabric and companion prints. This is a different way to think, but what we like about working this way is that we find that as opposed to having all of the attention on one fabric, you're spreading it out, and you're making it really about the forms of the patchwork more than one particular look, that then when you're out of that fabric, it kind of, it doesn't, you can't make that same quilt.
And we often talk about like a quilt. We try to design quilts that when you see them, when you walk into a room, whether they're on the back of a chair or on a bed, there's a strong impact with that design. And then you get up close and you discover the beauty of the individual fabrics. So this will be the free to use pattern for the line called Echo. And it really is a straightforward way to display the beauty of the fabrics. And you can see how the darks and the mediums really stand out against the lights. And in a detail, it's also a great way to show off quilting. We did what we call our labyrinth quilting here in that negative space. But then this is our woodlands pattern. That's a paid pattern, works very well with a line like this, because you can see that kind of pair of dark squares that flank the block. It's all about relationships, darks, lights, squares, rectangles. And again, you get to kind of enjoy looking at the detail here.
And also what I love about the way we've designed the patterns for these prints is that you don't need to cut up the prints. You can enjoy the prints as a big piece. You'll see a little bit, some of those lighter ones get cut up a little bit, but as much as possible, you want to be able to enjoy the fabric in one piece.
Which works perfectly for this last quilt that we're going to show you called Acadia, where it is all about the fabric. And
this is an improv.
This is it's improvisation within structure. So you're basically taking all of these rectangles, and you take 21 of them actually, and you stack pairs and slice through them improvisationally and swap out the pieces. And it just breaks things up it gives you more kind of next door neighbors to have
Mhm.
different relationships with.
But you can also see the that darker fabric as a sashing
Yes.
that makes everything look really luminous.
And oh, that blue is so luminous.
Yeah.
It's just like you walk into the room. When we finish this quilt, we both
Yeah.
just have real smiles on our faces because it comes to life. You know, when you can have these fabrics feel like light on dark or dark on light, either way. So that's the Delight collection and the versatility that it offers. And we can't wait to see what you dream up and what you do with this. And we want it to delight you. And, you know,
And we hope it does.
and yeah, we hope it does. That's our goal. Thank you.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Modern Quilt Studio. We offer a lot of tutorials, free tutorials on YouTube, and once a month we have a Quilts First live stream on Facebook that's later uploaded to YouTube, to our YouTube channel. So we hope we'll see you there.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Weeks and Bill. And Quilts First, that's always the first day of the month, correct?
First of the month.
Okay. Yeah, I try to watch it whenever I can because you guys always have such great information. And yes, be sure to check out the Modern Quilt Studio YouTube channel. They're full of great tutorials. I refer to them frequently myself. So I really appreciate the work that you guys put into those. And it appears from all of the comments that were coming in that all of the quilters here today are truly delighted with Delight. So, okay, so I'm going to ask the panelists to go ahead and unmute themselves now because we're going to do a little bit of a panel discussion. I've got some questions for all of you. But first, as a transition, we're going to post our poll for this session. Please answer the question that you see on your screen, and we will choose a winner from those of you that vote and give you a free fabric surprise at the end of this session. So Lisa and Bill Weeks, you guys can't vote, but yeah,
I already tried.
and I'm guessing most of you would have said all of the above.
Yes.
Maybe not clothing. Okay, so we will move into our panel discussion now. I do have a few questions for you guys just to let the audience get to know you a little bit better. And I'm going to ask this to Ann and to Modern Quilt Studio. Do either of you have a favorite print in your new collection?
Go ahead, Ann. You can go first.
I guess I like the generic flower. I really like the big one. I like the pizzazz. I like all the shading in it and how those swirls are almost luminant and what all you can do with it. But I'm really, really excited about the coordinates in this one as well, because as I showed in a lot of patterns, they're unusual and they really work together well and just stand alone without the big print.
Oh, and you're speaking my language. I'm a sucker for beautiful coordinates as well. And this fringe fabric that we have is so textured. And I think when we design a line, it's hard because you think about the whole line. We're always thinking about relationships. And yet there is one that you always pull out that you know you're going to be sad when it runs out. and that for me is it. I'm sure it's different for Weeks.
Yeah, I like the bubbles. What I love about the bubbles is that it's a stripe, but it's not a stripe. And so it kind of reminds me of, is it Spumoni?
Oh, yeah.
Spumoni ice cream, or
Yes.
the kind of gelatos where they've got lots of little stuff in it. It's just super fun to me.
Delightful.
Yes, it's delightful.
It's delightful. That one reminds me of like a really intricately decorated Easter egg.
Oh, yeah.
I think your Easter eggs are nicer than ours.
Well, sometimes if you do them with like almost like a tie-dye effect, that kind of is what I see in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question is, I'm going to shoot this one to Lisa. You kind of discussed this a little bit, but when you're designing a pattern with our fabric collections, do you have an approach that you use for all of them, or do you kind of let the fabric tell you where to go?
I would say more let the fabric tell me where to go, but what I typically will do is a great quilt design has contrast typically. So I will sort of identify my lights versus my darks and say, okay, this is going to be my background fabric. Or in the case of the American Spirit quilt, these two are going to be my background fabrics. And then kind of fit the pieces together there to figure out where I can create contrast between those darks, mediums, and lights. And for some of them, like the Safari Fun, I knew right away I wanted to use that border print. So I kind of planned the quilt around using that. But for a lot of them, I'll create the blocks, and I do this in Illustrator on the computer, and I'll create all of the blocks, and then I'll put borders around the outside, and I'll go through and audition all the fabrics in the collection just to see what border might work out, because it's not always the one you think that works best with the quilt center design.
Okay. And a question that actually came up last session that I thought was a really good one, and I want to ask both Bill and Weeks and Ann, because you both design quilts and fabric. What comes first, the fabric design or the quilt design?
Go ahead, Ann.
For me, it's the fabric. So I work on a collection, but as I'm going through it, I also work in Illustrator. So I have patterns that I've already used in the past, and I try all the different fabrics in those blocks, in borders, in background, and all that to see whether the scale's right, whether it's going to fit, whether there's enough contrast, and work through it that way. And then that helps me decide how to change the fabrics in the line, or what else we need or what we don't need, and that kind of thing.
Okay. And how
I
about
think
you?
it's a push me, pull you for us, that sometimes we, certainly because of the way we structure our lines, we have to be able to plan a light or a dark to be able to have as a background or a sashing. But sometimes we design a quilt first, and sometimes we design a line and then figure out what quilts we're going to make with it, and then have that inform the coloring of the line to make sure that we can make the quilts that we have designed, and that we can make a good quilt with the fabrics we've designed.
And it's always one overarching concept that you're trying to build on, that it all supports. So I agree with the push me, pull you.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Thanks so much for that. So at this point, we're actually going to move into the last section of our session today. We're going to do some Q&As that have come in from the viewers. So I'm going to pull those up now. Everyone, if you have a question, please pop it into the Q&A that's along the bottom of your screen so that I can ask all of the panelists the questions that you have. The first one, will there be a link to all the presenter websites? Yes, actually, if you go on to our website, venertex.com, you can find links to all of our presenters today, including to Bill and Weeks' website, to Ann's website, and to Lisa's. But I'll give you all a chance right now to quickly give everybody, your web address if you'd like.
modernquiltstudio.com.
grizzlygulchgallery.com.
quiltyzest.com.
Okay, so there you have them. Let's see what other questions I have. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. How long does it take to design a fabric line? I know the answer to this, but I realized that most quilters don't actually know how long it takes from start to finish. So Bill and Weeks, how long has it been, from start to finish, from first concept to quilt, the fabric actually getting into the quilter's hands?
Well, if you know, Stephanie, I'd like you to tell me because
It seems like anywhere from
because ours really varies. I mean, I think, from the time you get it, it's usually about 9 months, but sometimes, we have lines that we've started and we haven't figured out where it's going. And that just sits in the safest computer file on Bill's computer. Or we'll have sketches, but I think, we work a little bit differently. I think, I know some people speak with, the designers in-house at Benartex, but if you're hand drawing and if you're coming up with every print and every repeat and, the scale and everything yourself, some come faster than others. Some, I think, we've been able to sort of from the beginning until we get the files to Benartex. That's been maybe like the shortest is probably a month or something like that.
And the longest is minutes.
Well, the longest, there's one we're working on right now that's been months, just because we have other things that come up, like we did a modern mystery quilt that suddenly took over our lives for several months that was much more time consuming and a bigger deal than we had thought. But
one of the things I'd like to say to kind of the audience out there is what you don't see behind the scenes is Benartex really works hard to understand what the designers are doing and make sure things are executed with quality. Because we bring design, we bring ideas, but Benartex has this deep knowledge of production, of the weather in different countries and how it affects production and color. And they work really hard to make it all come together. And I think that's why we're all happy to have our name associated with Benartex.
But we generally start with an Apple Pencil and an iPad in Procreate
or Illustrator
or whatever. That's usually where we start.
Okay.
And so by the time we give it to Benartex, it's a finished digital file.
Okay. Thanks so much for that. And yeah, that was my experience too, that it, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's a little longer. It can take as much as probably 18 months. But we had a really funny comment that I have to share with you guys. Nadia says, even fabric designers have UFOs. They're just like us.
Yeah, it's like, I bet I would love to see Ann's sketchbooks and Ann's file, because I know you've got so many ideas and you can only have so many of them become fabric lines.
Right. You keep folders all the time ongoing. But I'd like to echo what Bill and Weeks just said about the Benartex. They want the collections to look the way we design them. They're not just saying, okay, you gave me the idea, we'll take it from here. That would be a heck of a lot easier for them. If we didn't get to weigh in at every step. But when we're trying to work out value even or colors or what, it's really hard to do from a computer screen. So 3 days later, I'll get paper images, A, B, C, what do you like? They check in continuously. And I bet you there's mornings they say, do we really have to talk to her today? Keep going on this. But they always do. And that's why they're our collections. How cool that is.
Well, thank you both for that, for sharing that with our participants today. So we are about out of time. I told you this would fly past. So I have a few things to tell you about, and then I will announce our winner for this session. First, I want to thank everyone for coming. We hope that you've enjoyed seeing the fabrics and hearing about them directly from the designers. Be sure to ask your local quilt shop to place an order for the collections that you love, and we can't wait to see what you all create. In the next few weeks, we'll be introducing more of our upcoming collections on our website. So stay tuned and follow us on social media. Our social media links can be found on our website, and please tag us and our designers in your posts that feature our fabrics. We love to see what you're creating and to share it with our followers. And last, I'm going to announce our winner. Our winner is Linda Witt. Linda, we will be contacting you via email to get your mailing address so we can send out a fun fabric surprise to you. And thank you everyone for being here. Thanks to my panelists for this session. And we'll be back at 1:30. We're going to take a quick 1-hour lunch. We'll be back at 1:30, and we will have our third session then. So thanks again for coming, and we'll see you all in a little while.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, this was fun.
Bye-bye.